Hey everybody, Jay Super Awesome here. I'd like to welcome you all to week number 38 of the TheHORRORman's SlashBack Saturday Challenge. This week's slasher movie theme is sleazy, cheesy slashers. And I will be giving my review for Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead. Okay, so getting into the plot for this one. It's Casey's birthday, and to celebrate, her and her friends are headed to a cabin in the woods for a wild weekend of sex, drugs, and partying. A crazed killer has other plans for them, and it's up to Casey's younger brother, Scott, aided by a mysterious novel that seems to spell out their fate, to find their only hope for survival. Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead brings back the classic slasher flick, complete with horny teenagers, worthless cops, a crazy war vet, and a masked killer. It's Midnight Madness with Candy Adams, your hot, super flirty host. Do you remember staying up late to watch your favorite horror host on local television, with VHS tape in hand to record all the action, hoping you don't record over anything important, like your home movies? This nearly forgotten ritual was a mainstay of our youth. Okay, so getting into my thoughts for this one. With this week's SlashBack Challenge theme of sleazy, cheesy slashers, I chose to review Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead, because it is equally sleazy and cheesy and checks all the boxes for everything you would want for this style of slasher movie. As the plot description describes, we get your typical group of friends heading out for a weekend trip to a cabin in the woods for partying, sex, and drugs. And of course, along the way, we have your normal stop at the local convenience store that is run by a crazy clerk who delivers the cryptic warning before our group of friends reach their destination. So this movie definitely checks all the boxes for all the classic slasher movie tropes. We even get a campfire scene with a campfire story, and also towards the end of the movie, we get a pickup truck that doesn't want to start. Imagine that. So we're dealing with very familiar stuff here, and because it is so basic and a by-the-book slasher movie, it makes it a little bit hard to talk about. And pretty much all you really need to know about this movie is explained in the title itself. Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead. That's really pretty much all you need to know about this movie. So I really enjoyed Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead. It's a very fun and entertaining, cheesy and sleazy type slasher movie. One thing that this movie does that's really interesting is it tries to play off your nostalgia. If you were a fan of late night TV through the 80s and even through the 90s and possibly even before then, late night horror movies would come on. And they weren't always just horror movies, science fiction movies, or just classic cult type movies that had a TV host, such as Elvira, Joe Bob Briggs, or even Gilbert Godfrey. Just to name a few, those are ones that I was familiar with. But this movie has a host that introduces the movie and has sections throughout the movie. So basically this movie plays out as if you had a homemade VHS tape that had family moments on it, and you've recorded over it for this late night horror movie. And when it goes to these sections, it'll kind of have static, which is supposed to be representing when you pause and come back to the movie. So it'll have static, it'll cut to the horror movie host, which is Cherry Adams, and it'll cut to her and she'll talk. And sometimes it will play a commercial, or sometimes you'll see static and then you'll see like a scene of a kid playing in the backyard, which is supposed to be representing something that you are recording over. So this basically plays out as if you have recorded over one of your home VCR movies. As far as the host herself, she was okay. I thought she did pretty decent. Some of her stuff was pretty funny, and she definitely had the cheese factor turned up to 11. But overall, in all honesty, I was just really more interested in watching the movie. So I just thought these sections was just decent. I mean, I could have really done without it, but for what it was decent. It was definitely better than drunk dialing your ex. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the cast of characters we have in Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead. So we have a very typical cast of characters for this style of movie. For the most part, I did enjoy the characters. We have a brother and sister who is accompanied by her boyfriend, who wants nothing more but to hook up with her on this weekend birthday trip of hers. And she is having none of that. She is just shutting him down with each and every attempt. And as the movie moves along, his advances get more aggressive and more cringeworthy by each attempt. Her brother is more or less the nerdy type who is pretty much being picked on throughout the entire movie. Something that's pretty interesting about him is that through different scenes in the movie, he is reading a book that's titled Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead. And he soon realizes what's happening in the book is happening in real life. I know that sounds pretty cool, but it's never really explained. He's interested in another girl that has tagged along for this weekend trip. For the most part, she's pretty nice to him, but she doesn't have the same feelings towards him as he does for her. And later on, he witnesses something by the campsite that makes him realize that she's just not interested in men altogether. Rounding out the cast of characters is your typical couple who are into sex, drugs, and drinking and partying. We also have worthless cops, and we have the crazy, psychotic acting convenience store clerk. So overall, I thought the acting was pretty decent for what this movie was, and I really didn't have any issue with the acting. The movie's pretty cheesy and pretty sleazy, so you have to know what to expect when going into this one. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the most important part of a slasher movie, that is the killer and the kills. So overall, I really like the look of the killer in this movie. He's wearing a really cool looking gas mask that has hoses that's attached to a tank that he carries on his back. What's really annoying about this, though, is you can hear his breathing throughout the entire movie. Each and every scene that he's in or when he's about to appear, you can always hear his breathing. And they have basically set that up to give him some character. More or less, it's if you can hear him, then it's too late for you and you're already dead. So it's that type of setup that sounds pretty cool, but the breathing is pretty annoying. But overall, I really like the look of the killer, and I have no idea what the motivation behind this killer is. Pretty much if you go into his woods, you get killed. As far as the kills go within this movie, we get quite a few violent and gory death scenes. This movie definitely does not shy away from the blood and the gore, and I would say it has a pretty decent body count. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, but I would say it's definitely not for everybody. If you're into more serious slasher movies or even horror movies in general, this one might not be for you. But if you are into cheesy and sleazy type slasher movies, you will probably like this one. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Please like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if you have seen Kids Go to the Woods, Kids Get Dead, or just let me know what you think about my review. And I would like to thank you all for watching.